Donald Trump pulls off a historic political comeback, one for the ages and a win for the White House. He will become the 47th president of the United States, and with his win in Wisconsin, he clears the 270 electoral college hurdle needed to clinch the presidency, beating Vice President Kamala Harris. Following her loss, Harris addressed the nation from her alma mater, Howard University, in Washington, D.C.
She thanked her family, her campaign team, and she urged supporters to not despair, but instead continue the fight that fueled this campaign.
This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together.
Harris reinforced her positions on guns and abortion rights and promised that she would continue to keep fighting for democracy and equal rights for all.
Donald Trump addressed his supporters in the early morning hours in Florida.
Yeah, his speech coming after winning several critical swing states.
This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
Donald Trump becomes only the second president in U.S. history to lose in a re-election campaign and then come back 4 years later to win another term in office. Grover Cleveland did that. He accomplished that feat as the 22nd and 24th president. But you got to go back to the 1800s. We're closely watching the Senate race between Ruben Gallego and Kari Lake right now unfolding in Arizona. Gallego is sitting at 50%, Lake at 48%, so that gap is narrowed.
Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez takes a closer look at what's happening right now. Ashley.
Yeah, guys, last night Gallego was confident in his lead, but then we all woke up this morning and we saw how tight the race had gotten. All the polls had pointed to Gallego winning by anywhere from 5 to 10%, but then in the 11th hour, Kari Lake got momentum.
It felt almost like a victory speech.
A poor Latino boy who grew up sleeping on the floor will be headed to the floor of the United States Senate.
But the 6-point lead Ruben Gallego had over Kari Lake Tuesday night had shrunk by half less than 12 hours later.
And the big question is, these late early ballots where people held their mail ballot and dropped it off. Scott Jarrett, the wonderful elections director, and myself were both estimating in our fearful prognostication that 400,000 voters just in Maricopa County might hold onto those and drop them off. We don't know how many. In 22, it was 289,000 people. So that's going to just completely shift where we are now.
According to the Maricopa County Election Center Wednesday afternoon, it's expected that approximately 700,000 ballots will be left to tabulate in the coming days. And Gallego and Lake sit just about 60,000 votes apart. Gallego posting on X, "We are closely watching as results come in and we're feeling very optimistic." Lake posting, "This race is going to go down to the wire. We need all hands on deck to cure ballots and ensure the vote of every Arizonan counts."
Let's hang on. Let's give everything a chance to come in, and let's see where we are.
So throughout the day, the Maricopa County Election Center has been doing little drops, like releasing numbers from throughout the state that will affect these numbers. But the big drop, the one that could really affect the race, is coming in about an hour, and that's from Maricopa County. Of course, when that drops, we'll get a better sense of where this race is headed, and of course, we'll update you. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. It's instructive because, you know, last night you kind of think you have a handle on the races.
Yeah.
You wake up this morning and stuff is flipped.
It's true. And that race in particular has been inching closer. So
that's exactly right.
We'll see.
All right, we're getting more insight into how the U.S. Senate race numbers look across the state.
Yeah, Fox 10's Mark Martinez is still keeping track of the county-by-county breakdown for us. Mark.
And yeah, you guys, as Ashley was just mentioning here, we've got the results right now in the Senate race between Ruben Gallego and Kari Lake, and we should be getting some new numbers coming in just about an hour or so is what we're hearing from the county recorder's office. But we want to kind of look at some of the counties and see how those are shaping up, specifically for Ruben Gallego, Maricopa County, where right now he is holding a lead there, 52% to 46.1% by Kari Lake, separated, you can see here, by about 80,000 votes, and still about 700,000 still left to be tabulated, as we heard from Ashley there. So watching these numbers closely, seeing if anything changes in the next hour or so when we get that next ballot drop. Now, as far as Kari Lake goes, where she's performing well, of course, probably not a big surprise. Mojave County, 73.8% to 24.2% for Ruben Gallego, and also in Pinal County, 55.5% to 42.5% for Ruben Gallego. The important thing to see here, though, in this map of the counties, Ruben Gallego is doing well in the 5 counties that typically go for Democrats and the ones that sent Joe Biden to the White House in 2020. So that is the numbers that we're seeing coming in right now and how he's performing there. Maricopa County is interesting because that also, so far, is going for Donald Trump. So kind of an interesting thing, John and Christina, we were talking about when we were looking at some of the ballots coming in and the results coming in, seeing Ruben Gallego and Donald Trump both performing well in Maricopa County. We'll see if that holds when that next batch of numbers comes in. Reporting live in the Election Center, I'm Mark Martinez, Fox 10 News. We'll send it back to you guys.
Sounds good, Mark. Thank you. We'll see you in about an hour. Well, more key races that we're tracking here in Maricopa County. Republican Jerry Sheridan is leading Democrat Tyler Camp in the race for county sheriff here in Maricopa County, 53% to 47%.
And in the race for Maricopa County recorder, this is for who replaces Stephen Richer, who was defeated by Justin Heath in the Republican primary. Tim Stringham, by the way, the Democrat, had the current county recorder, Stephen Richer, won that race. Tim Stringham wasn't going to even challenge him in a race in November, but he lost, so Stringham ran. And Justin Heath is winning, the Republican, by 4%.
Okay, so one major question still left to be answered. Who will take control of the Arizona State Legislature? Several races still very, very close. And remember, the Democrats have not had a majority in either of the Senate or the House since the early 90s. Nicole Christine joins us live to share what party leaders are saying about this the day after the polls closed. And Nicole, I think on the House side, Democrats haven't controlled it since 1962.
Yeah, there is a big swing that could be taking place in Arizona, but we're going to have to wait for more of those results to come through. We are expecting Maricopa County to drop their next batch of results during the 6 o'clock hour tonight, and that could really give us a better picture at what this state house is going to look like and how it's going to be made up, both in the House and the Senate, come the next legislative session. Now, there are several state legislation races that remain close at this time, too close to say for sure if the House or Senate will flip here in the Grand Canyon state. Of the 30 Senate districts in the state, there are still 7 contested races left to call, and over in the House, a vast majority of the races have not yet been called. Party leaders on both sides, though, say they remain optimistic about the chance to gain or maintain control, referencing past elections where it took days to figure out how the makeup of the state house would be.
A similar situation in 2022, where right when the results came out, there was 14 senators winning, and then by Friday we were at 16.
Think about that U.S. Senate race in 2018. Who was up on night 1? Candidate A. Who was up on night 2? Candidate B. Who was up on night 3? Candidate A. Who was up on night 4? Candidate B. It was not over until it was over.
Yeah, that's our biggest takeaway right now in all of this, is that we really do have to wait till all of those ballots are counted. Again, Maricopa County saying they'll release the next results drop during the 6 o'clock hour tonight, and then expecting one later in the night as well. So we'll be staying on top of this balance of power. And it is a really important thing. You know, we don't want people to think just because the presidential race has been called already that there isn't a lot at stake here on the state level as well. So we'll continue to watch that balance of power and see how it continues to shift throughout the night. For now, though, reporting live at the Arizona State House, Nicole Christine, Fox 10 News.
Yeah, that's huge because you've got a Democrat governor, Katie Hobbs.
Yes.
If it went Democrat in the House and Senate,
total
She's
control.
got carte blanche. The party has carte blanche to do a lot of things.
Yeah. There could be a lot of changes. Yes.
School vouchers would be, there'd be changes there. We'd have to see. There
Yeah.
could be a lot of changes.